Welcome back. And if you tuned in late, we are talking about common sense safety that you and I need to be aware of. And of course, it's always a pleasure to have our special crime prevention people here. And Steve Loftis, who's our sheriff, bless you. And next to him, of course, is Natalie Hill. And Natalie is a crime prevention specialist. And many times there are things that we could avoid that we just don't even think about. So give us some common sense things that we as just everyday people need to know to keep ourselves and our families and our homes safe.
I think one of the primary things, Peggy, is pay attention. Pay attention to your surroundings. And I would ask all of the citizens in Greenville County to get involved. And when I say get involved, I'm not talking about going out and buying a gun or handcuffs or anything like that. That's our job. But by getting involved, that's paying attention to what's going on. If a person sees something suspicious, I would much rather them pick up the phone if it's an emergency situation and dial 911 or either the non-emergency number and let us send a car and check it out, because we may, or that person may be witnessing a crime in progress. Mm-hmm. So the more communication, the better the communication that we have with our community and law enforcement, then the more effective we can be.
But Sheriff, a lot of people just don't want to get, they're afraid to get involved. If they call and, they'd say, well, I'd be asked to report my name and my address and all this, and they don't want to get involved.
Well, and I understand that, and that's something that that we're still battling. But all that person has to do is just ask the communications specialist that they don't want their name released, they don't want their address released, and it won't be released.
Okay.
Another important thing for people to remember, if they do have a crime committed, if they have their, even if it's as minor as a mailbox broken into or broken down, if they do have their auto broken into, if they do have their house broken into, it's an absolute necessity to report that to us so we can complete an incident report, because our incident reports are how we distribute our manpower. If we see that on a particular beat in the county or a particular side of town or a subdivision that we are having an inordinate amount of break-ins, then we will put more manpower there in an attempt to solve those break-ins. Whereas if a person does not report it, we don't know what's going on.
Okay. Yeah. All right. Anything you want to add to that?
Yes, ma'am. Community members can request our community services division officers to come out and actually help them with neighborhood watch groups. This is a form of crime prevention, and it's a way for community members to come together and prevent criminal activity in their communities. And not only do we help them in setting those groups up, but we even go back and teach different types of safety presentations or different topics in reference to how they can enhance what they have. They meet monthly, quarterly. It's totally up to them, but it's a program to assist them. I remember growing up, I don't know if you guys remember, but I used to hate nosy neighbors because they knew what I was doing, and then like Sheriff Loftis was saying earlier, they go and tell your mom, you get a spanking by your neighbor, and then you get another spanking at home. And the community looked out for each other. They looked out for the children. And we need to go back to being nosy neighbors, and because it does make a difference.
I think we've lost, people are so afraid to get involved.
Correct.
That we've lost that closeness where we absolutely can help each other.
Yes, absolutely. I agree with that.
So now you go out into a neighborhood group and talk to them
Yes,
about things they can do to keep their neighborhood safe?
Yes, ma'am. We have topics that range from crimes against the elderly to internet safety, identity theft. We have all types of topics, stranger danger. So it depends on the audience, whoever is requesting the actual presentation. We cater it to that group because my community may have concerns that are not the same as your community. So we cater it to each community that requests us to come out and help them with their neighborhood watch.
What are some of the things that you hear most from the general public, that their concerns? What are people concerned about?
Well, they're concerned about the drug problems on the street because, as I said earlier, it's responsible. Drugs are responsible for so many
So
of our crimes.
most of the crime that we have now that even 25 years ago we didn't have related to drugs.
That's exactly right.
People trying to get enough money to buy the drugs, so they'll steal.
Just enough money to get another fix, and as soon as that fix wears off, then they're after something else to steal and sell or trade for more drugs.
Oh, what a world we live in. And there's no way you can stop the drug dealers. I mean,
it's not only a community problem, it's a worldwide problem. And it's just grown so much over the years. From the late 60s and early 70s, from the marijuana, then to the cocaine, then to the heroin. Nowadays it's meth, and one of the big problems that we face are teenagers getting their parents' prescription medications out of the medicine cabinet. So it's just, it's almost a never-ending problem that we try extremely hard to put a stop to it, but it's just, we're outnumbered.
yeah. Now, when you have these community meetings where you set up, I guess like a community watch or whatever you want to call it.
Yes, ma'am.
How involved is that? And how you're willing to go into a community and talk to people and give them the pointers to keep safe?
Right. What we do is we do what is called an initial neighborhood watch meeting, to where we'll go out and we'll do a presentation on the neighborhood watch, the structure of it, some the things that how your community can benefit from having a neighborhood watch group. And this just basically opens up the line of communication, letting the community know what they can do to assist the sheriff's office so that we can do our jobs better. And then after that, it's about the community coming together. And so what we recommend is if they're meeting monthly, okay, maybe do a survey in the community, find out what is going on in your community and what the neighbors would like to see in reference to change. And then set goals based on the survey. And then after that, invite the sheriff's office back to give topics on, let's say a goal is, well, maybe we're having a problem with speeding. Okay, maybe the community members that are speeding, or maybe there's a street that's a cut-through street. And if we need to come out to do an assessment in reference to speeders, we have a traffic unit. So the officers, such as myself in community patrol, we find out what are the concerns at these meetings, one-on-one talking to the community members, and then we just come back to the sheriff's office and say, okay, they have a traffic problem. Let's get the traffic unit involved. Maybe they have drugs problems. Let's get vice and narcotics involved. So whatever the concern, going to the meetings, the sheriff's deputies, myself, and other community deputies going out and finding out what the concerns are helps us come back to the sheriff's office and utilize the resources that we have within the sheriff's office to help them in the communities.
Now, we have a phone number, and I guess they put it on the screen. I hope so, and just keep it there. And I'll keep the numbers here if you didn't get them. But you want to hear from people, don't
Yes,
you?
ma'am. Absolutely, yes.
Correct. The more the better.
So if a neighborhood has had some problems, you're willing to go into that neighborhood and help them set up a place that is safe, a safety issues that the neighbors can all participate.
Right, kind of like a safety plan, with the community coming together and making a difference based on whatever those concerns are. So we're willing to do that.
And I'll tell you something else, and I guess, you think you're paranoid, but when you go places and you're sitting there and if you're sitting in church on Sunday morning and the doors, anybody can walk in off the street.
Absolutely.
And it's sad, but I think people are beginning to be concerned. What
And
do you
that's-
suggest that we all do?
That's why we created our church safety security program, to where our crime prevention specialist actually will meet with the church members or designated church members and teach them about church safety and security and what they can do if trouble does break out in a church.
Yeah, because most of the time you sit in a church, it's the last thing you think about. But
Exactly
the doors are always open, and
Exactly
anybody
right.
can walk in off the street.
Correct.
So we have to be aware of our surroundings and look out for each other. I guess that's what it amounts to, because you can't be every place all the time.
Right. That's one of the other good things about the neighborhood watch programs. The community members, they're the eyes and the ears. They know who's supposed to be in the community. They know what looks suspicious to them. And so by getting involved and calling the sheriff's office, let us come out, let us investigate. And then being able to call and be anonymous and not have to give your information, and that's always a good thing as well, because we want community members to get involved. And then not only that, we also have Crime Stoppers, to where you can call that number, and sometimes there are rewards associated with information that's given. And so that's a good way for community members to get involved and share information. Because
So, in summing all this up, I guess the real thing is to say that you need help from us
yes, ma'am.
to do your job.
Correct.
Yes.
Not being paranoid, but if we see something that doesn't seem right, report it.
Yes.
Correct.
Okay, so we need to step up and help you.
Yes,
And
ma'am.
thank you so much for what you do for all of us and for the community to keep us safe and our children safe. Thank you.
Thank you.
And
Thank
I'll
you,
keep
Peggy.
the information here if you didn't get it. But we're very blessed to have people like this in our midst. Wherever you are, be safe, lock your car doors, and just stay happy. And we'll see you next time.